All right, here we go. As Juan Cruikshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork you will not get anywhere else. Did hit the goal. It was a rough 8 miles today. I ain't gonna lie to you, a very, very rough 8 miles. I did have, I'd say, proper amount of rest, proper amount of meals, which is probably why I hit the goal, but still think the traveling and the go, I'm actually on my way, kind of stopped in the middle of West Palm to Miami to do a workout. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale right now, and then I'll finish out the trip to Miami. So, you know, it's probably the traveling and all that kind of stuff that can lead to some fatigue in regards to, you know, my normal miles. But I did hit the goal. I did hit the 8 miles today, all right? So as far as today's Move Swiftly thought, let's dive into this because we are now officially in the swing of things when it comes to football season. We got college football. Week 1 just wrapped up. Recording this, by the way, on a Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. It's wrapped up week 1 of college football, and everything is kind of getting going for week 2. And then tomorrow, we got the NFL officially starting, and I'll have a take on that as well. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll save that one for tomorrow. But as far as today, let's get into this Florida State debacle, man. You know, it pains me to have to say that because I do cheer for them. Like I've mentioned to regular consumers in the past. Excuse me. I am a diehard Michigan Wolverines fan. However, my second team is Florida State, and they look like straight up trash, man. The past 2 weeks, they looked like shit. Look like shit. And again, even though I do cheer for them, I'm honest when I say, you know, look, they should not have been voted in the playoffs. The committee did actually get it right, considering, and I said that after Georgia tapped that ass. You know, I was more so, the fan in me was talking about how, you know, they should have got in, they got screwed and all that, which essentially they kind of did because they went undefeated. But at the same time, if you really wanted to prove yourself, if you really was about that, if you really were a national champion, as you say you were, then you should have showed up against Georgia, beat their ass, and then you would have had a legitimate argument towards being in. But they didn't do that. Instead, they got their ass smashed. They embarrassed all their fans. They embarrassed their university. They embarrassed their conference. They embarrassed everyone affiliated with Florida State University, seeing that, you know, this is Georgia. You know, they compete. They're right on the borderline for a lot of recruits, a lot of great recruits right there in that area that you're competing with when it comes to Georgia, and you let Georgia come to Miami in the Orange Bowl and straight wax that ass. So, you know, again, you can't, as a Florida State supporters, can't feel any sympathy for the bullshit for them not being voted in. All right. So as far as what's going on this year, it is what I like to call trade-offs. All right. There are no perfect scenarios in life. There's not a rule that could be implemented that's just going to be perfect. And what we're seeing is the trade-off of the transfer portal. We're seeing the trade-off of college players being able to get paid for their name, image, and likeness, to the point where I'm sitting here watching a Florida State and Boston College game, watching Boston College actually dominate Florida State, and then the commercial goes to a Powerade commercial, and you see DJ Uiagalelei. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, but you see this guy who's stinking up the joint in the game. You see him on a commercial for Powerade getting paid. All right, that's the trade-offs, guys. That's the trade-offs when it comes to NIL and the transfer portal and being able to just jump ship and not develop players and not make it so, and making it so we are exploiting these high school athletes, more in particular these high school football players that have a big name around them. We're exploiting them, and it's ultimately ruining their college experience. It's ultimately ruining the developmental element towards the college experience. Let me just give you a rundown of everything that went down, because it wasn't just Florida State that had a debacle these past couple months, but also Clemson, you know, the school that DJ Uiagalelei initially committed to, and he was supposed to be the second coming of Trevor Lawrence. And, you know, because of that kind of pressure and that kind of rhetoric, again, it wasn't possible for him to live up to the hype. Nobody is actually Trevor Lawrence. In my opinion, he's been the best quarterback that's come out in the past 15 years, like, period. Like, he's that talented of a player, right? But what happened was, during that time, there was also the Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa situation where Jalen Hurts got benched, and then, you know, he came back the next year, but then he ultimately transferred to Oklahoma. because of the transfer portal, and he became a Heisman candidate. Again, that's just one situation. That doesn't mean it's going to work like that for every single high school athlete. Jalen Hurts had his father was a coach. He understood how to develop. He went to a program like a Lincoln, Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley, and he was able to develop and do his thing. That doesn't mean it's going to work for every single quarterback. So what happened was DJU, I'll call him DJU, he transfers out of Clemson, and then he goes to Oregon State and doesn't make any noise there instead of developing at Clemson. And again, Clemson doesn't take transfers. He's according to reports, Dabo Swinney's the guy that's, sticking to his principles and not taking any guys from the transfer portal. So you're seeing where his program is starting to slip because he's not being able to keep guys and keep up and things like that. So you have a whole mess in terms of where guys are ending up, what the recruiting process is going to look like. And this is the trade-off, right? This is the trade-off of you allowing kids to dictate where they're going and hold coaches hostage when it comes to money, when we should be, as adults who are in this business, what we should be doing is figuring out and implementing ways in which we can develop these young men, develop them as players, make them better, not just on the field, but in the classroom as well, make them better businessmen, make them understand the game and itself, develop overall, but not just allow them to jump ship and move here if I ain't starting here and if this don't work out here, because as you're seeing the result of it. You're seeing programs diminishing and demolishing, and there's no actual cohesive developmental system. So, I know it sounds like I'm venting, but it is important that we recognize these things, and we as adults who grew up in this game understand that this game of football has a lot of great quality lessons to it, that we start to think of ways and put our heads together and think of ways in which we can start to go back to implementing some level of developmental system for these athletes, so we don't see situations like we're seeing with DJ Uiagalelei, right? The same way that Jalen Hurts may create a situation where people can transfer wherever and they think it's going to work out for them. We also got to make sure we create systems and put systems in place where we're allowing the developmental process to move forward in the right way, all right? I got a lot more on this. In fact, I wrote a book on this entire subject. It's called Transferring D1, a practical guide on how to navigate the chaotic world of college athletics. It's available on MakeYaMove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. It's a one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.